How are we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. It is our playoff edition, Super Wild Card Weekend. With me is my co-host, Mr. Mike Zappy. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. I'm ready for this playoff season to get started. College football is over. It's go time.
Yeah, very exciting time of the year for sure. Just to let you viewers know, Idris may be joining us, so he might be coming on as the show progresses. And Zappy made a mention to college football, so I just wanted to make a quick mention myself. The biggest blowout in the history of any and all bowl games is what the Georgia Bulldogs did to TCU. Just, I don't want to diminish TCU's accomplishments of getting to the national title game, but man, Georgia really has something special, and they'll be going for a three-peat next year. Incredible. But TCU should still hold their heads up high. Big victory over Michigan and just a phenomenal season. And I do believe that this is once again screaming for the impatience of college football fans that want that expanded BCS, and they will get it in due time, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, I gotta tip my hat off to Georgia, man, because that semifinal game against Ohio State, it almost seemed like it woke them up, and they did not want that to happen again. Stetson Bennett, I mean, the guy's been around for a while, and all he did was produce in that game. I will gladly recognize him and tip my hat off to him. And the fact that he's coming back for one more year, he's going to be 26 next year in college football, going for a three-peat, and I'm already penciling in Georgia as the number one, and they will be in the playoff. It's just hard to take away what they're doing right now, what Kirby Smart is doing in recruiting. As far as TCU goes, man, it was sad because this looked like the team that had 201 odds to make it to the playoff, and then they just laid an egg. They were not ranked before the season started, and they looked like that team that a lot of people thought was going to be this
I
year.
don't think it speaks on anything wrong with TCU's program. I think it just speaks on how great Georgia is, how great the SEC
SEC
is.
is, yeah.
Yes. Before we dive into these playoff games, we have some other NFL news. Hot topic of a team that recently coming off a rough year and had a rough playoff, a rough situation going into these playoffs, are the Arizona Cardinals. They recently fired Cliff Kingsbury, their head coach. Their general manager will not be back. Kyler Murray obviously healing from season-ending surgery. And now DeAndre Hopkins is on the market, potential trade target in the offseason. So when you look at some of these rosters in the playoffs now and you're like, man, this team could use a D-Hop and that team can use a D-Hop. Before we came on air, Zappy brought to my attention that D-Hop currently is making under what market value would be for a wide receiver. So there's a potential that a trade for D-Hop could be very beneficial to his new employer. Of course, he could set up a situation where he attempts to want a new contract should a trade go through. But, we got to get on the ins and outs of that as that story develops because, it'll be interesting to see who really does have the leverage, whether it's D-Hop or the team that trades for him. But, a lot of pros, a lot of cons. So it really depends on what you're looking for. He is on the wrong side of 30. That would be a con. A pro is that he's super productive and you implement him in a lot of these different offenses and he could complete a team into a championship team and he can make a team that's on the bubble a contender. So definitely a guy and a situation that's going to be fluid, that's worth watching. But without further ado, let's get into his division, the NFC West. This is the third meeting here. On Saturday, the opener of the playoffs, we got the 9-8 Seahawks traveling out west, or further west, I should say, to take on their division rivals, the San Francisco 49ers, who were at 13-4. How did the Seahawks get in? Well, the Green Bay Packers dropped a grand opportunity at home, losing to their division rival, the Detroit Lions. So basically, Seattle eliminated Detroit by beating the Rams last week. Detroit had nothing to play for other than pride, but their motivation was if we're not going, you're not going. And that's why the Packers are home. That's why this team is here. To speak on how the Seahawks got here during the course of the season, definitely a career resurrection for Geno Smith. Coming into the season, many had the Seahawks projected to possibly be the worst team in the National Football League. I think it's a credit to Coach Pete Carroll getting the most out of Geno. And when we look at the failure in Denver for Russell Wilson on his season, once again, it speaks to the coaching staff, the system in Seattle that garnered the great results with Russell Wilson. And now it seems like it's translating to Geno Smith's game. Kenneth Walker, dynamic rookie running back. And of course, the great DK Metcalf alongside Tyler Lockett. They're all going to have to be on their game to have a chance because the 49ers, they are a special unit, a special team. On their third quarterback this year, Brock Purdy, who has not experienced the defeat yet. Christian McCaffrey was a huge trade deadline maneuver, kind of assured that Deebo Samuel doesn't have to really worry about manning down that running back position. He was doing double duty in last year's playoffs, took a beating. Deebo, Brandon Ayuk, you have George Kittle. Just a dynamic offense, very good offensive line, excellent play calling, and their defense, in my opinion, is the best in the league. So that is what Seattle has in front of them. Zappy, what are your keys to victory here? Do you think Seattle has a chance to pull off a divisional upset? As we say, it is hard to beat a team 3 times.
No. They're with all the elements of this upcoming game. You're facing the number 1 defense. You're facing this 49er offense that has not skipped the beat once Jimmy Garoppolo got injured. And actually, they've looked better. Christian McCaffrey has by far played a rejuvenated season. Someone that will be in discussion for comeback player of the year, which I believe there's a couple good choices this year between him and Saquon and Geno Smith.
Yeah, you got some good ones.
You do. And the big thing as to why the likes of a DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett will not have any impact on this game is the fact that California is going through this historical storm, and it's supposed to be raining really bad on Saturday during that game.
Which favors the home team by a mile.
Favors the home team, and it favors the better running team. I will put my money all in on Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey to take me onto the division round before I put my money on Kenneth Walker versus that defense in Santa Clara. So, no, I think the San Francisco is going to run away with this one early. I don't think it'll be high scoring because of the weather, but I do believe the Niners will win by at least 2 touchdowns. 24-10, San Francisco, easy win for them in preparation for their next home game in the divisional round.
My score is similar to yours. I don't really see a scenario where the Seahawks pull this off. If they're trying to look at some recent history to try to come up with some kind of angle, the only thing I could really say is that early in the year, in monsoon-like conditions, the 49ers had a hard time winning in that weather. It was a much different 49er team when that game was played in Chicago. It's kind of mind-boggling to think that the Bears actually do have a win against this 49er team, considering that they are picking first in the NFL draft. Almost identical to your score. I'm going 27-13, home team, 49ers for the win. Brock Purdy, I think his QBR rating is actually going to be pretty good, considering that I think it's going to be a lot of low-risk, high-efficiency passing. And I look for the combination of Christian McCaffrey and, yes, George Kittle, actually, to go off in this one. I think George Kittle's going to have a big game. I hope Seattle can keep it close. I'd like to see an upset. But no, 27-13 home team, 49ers continuing that winning streak and a legitimate player in these playoffs. They could be in the Super Bowl. We'll see. Later that day, Saturday, we got the 10-7 Los Angeles Chargers heading to Duval to take on the 9-8 AFC South champion Jaguars. My God, they came a long way this year. Chargers are the 5 seed. Jaguars are the 4 seed. How they got here. I'm going to start with the Chargers. I like what they did. They weathered the storm of a lot of early season injuries. Justin Herbert got hurt very early in the year, had a rib injury, played through a lot of pain. Joey Bosa injured for a decent amount of the year. Both their wide receivers, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, dealing with injuries all year long. Austin Eckler, who helped guide me to a co-holder of a championship in fantasy, he's having a phenomenal season. Very glad I picked him at the 2 spot this year. Um, the reason I like what the Chargers have done over the course of the year is that with health, their defense has gradually gotten better. I still am waiting for a Khalil Mack sighting. I think it's important if this team is going to make a run in these playoffs. Bosa coming back was a huge lift for them. I wouldn't say they have an excellent secondary, but they have a secondary that has playmakers, ball hawking type players. On the flip side, how did Jacksonville get here? Very slow start to their season. And I've said it on previous shows. When my New York Giants defeated them and at the time improved to 6-1, I certainly did not see Jacksonville as a division winner, a playoff team, or anything within the realm of that. It took the Tennessee Titans to really collapse in order to give this Jacksonville run a possibility, but you got to give credit where it's due. After last year's wasted season with Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence is becoming a superstar quarterback. They are hard-nosed, they are tough, and they do things that at this time of the year make you believe that they could make a run. They play stingy defense, they run the football well, and their quarterback doesn't make a ton of mistakes. Great coaching through and through over there in Duval. Keys to victory, to put it bluntly. Ball security is going to be a big one in this. You got two defenses that like to take chances, that like to get after the quarterback. Ultimately, I think this is going to come down to the skill positions. And in that regard, I think the Chargers have just a little more. I think it's going to be close, but I've got the road team winning this one. I'm going to go 30-24 in favor of the road team, the Los Angeles Chargers.
I really like this Jaguars team, and going back to the D-Hop talk, this is the team I think should go all in for DeAndre Hopkins, even after going after Calvin Ridley.
That would be scary.
That would be a fun offense to watch. We cannot discredit the fact that these two teams played each other this year in Week 3.
They did.
Jacksonville won the game 38-10. The Chargers had the majority of their starting lineup with the exception of Keenan Allen for that game. They just laid a goose egg pretty much, and Jacksonville outplayed them in every aspect of the game. And I asked myself, is Keenan Allen really worth 28 points? No, he's not. But this is a much improved Jaguars and Chargers team. I like the home team in this one. I like what Jacksonville's doing right now. I like how well their defense is playing. I believe they have the players to be able to slow down an Austin Eckler or Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Not saying they're going to be able to stop all three, but they'll be able to take one or maybe even two of them out of the game. As far as Los Angeles goes, they were a team we picked to finish 12-5 before the season started.
Yes.
Finished 10-7. They did have a rough roller coaster of a ride with all the nagging injuries they suffered, and obviously the one player they're still missing is J.C. Jackson, who tore his ACL earlier in the year. I think they're going to come out and play some very motivated football. The growth of Justin Herbert was on full display throughout the year, especially having to throw to Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton.
Yeah, I think it made him a better quarterback.
Yes, it did. And that's the one thing that I think is the reason why this game is going to be a lot closer than some people feel it is. I think the Chargers will go in there. They're going to have to play mistake-free football. And I see them being the team that's going to make that one critical mistake the same way the Titans made it on Monday night or on Sunday night against Monday night, Saturday night against the Jaguars. Jaguars win, in my opinion, 31-27. A very, very emotional win it will be for that team as they're building for their future moving forward. And as far as the Chargers go, they just got to come back and do it again next year and draft a couple more pieces they need, because this team has the talent to go far. They're just not all there yet.
Oh, well put. I mean, I think either outcome is very possible. Uh, we each have it as a one-score game and a relatively high-scoring game. These two teams have played two nail-biters over the course of the season. Miami Dolphins 9-8, getting in by virtue of the Bills defeating the Patriots and outlasting the Jets in the defensive struggle, winning 9-6, which also eliminated the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bills are the AFC's 2 seed, 1-1 this year head-to-head. Earlier in the year, where Tua first started his concussion situations, and that's what's ignited all the drama that has been around him and the organization. They won that game against the Bills early in the year in South Florida. Bills avenged a loss roughly a month ago, and now they are here. They are here for a third meeting. This is the game that I don't think is going to be close. I don't like Miami coming into the cold weather. I'm not sure if Tua is going to suit up, but my gut tells me he will.
But just to correct you, Buffalo for this game, which surprised me because I agreed with the cold weather, it's supposed to be 71 degrees at kickoff.
Stop playing.
I'm not playing.
71?
71. Yeah, I'll double verify. This will be my triple verification because I did not believe what I was seeing when I saw that. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I said, "Oh my God, this game just became a lot closer."
Let me take a look at this real quick. I myself am taking a peek at this because that's.
I apologize. It is cold weather.
Yeah. Come on, dude. Okay. I don't know where you got that from. Get out of here. Yeah, I don't like Miami in the cold weather. I don't like Miami in the playoffs in general because I've been saying this for the better part of a month and a half now. They do not run the ball. I see a situation where, yes, I think Tyreek Hill gets free and probably makes a big play. Maybe Waddle does too. I'm assuming Tua is going to play until somebody tells me he's not. But I just think the Bills have too much for them. I think Stephon Diggs is going to have a big one. And I actually think that the Buffalo running game is going to have a bigger impact in this than most people think. I think they're going to be able to push the Dolphins around. I think they're going to be able to sustain not only long drives, but quick drives. Like some of them are going to be some quick punches. Other ones are going to be more methodical and just leaning on the Dolphins. In the end, this will not be the nail biter that the previous two games were. I've got Buffalo winning this thing convincingly. 31. I'm going to go 31-17. I'm even 14 points. And I think it actually might not be as close as that looks. I see Miami maybe getting a very late touchdown. I think Buffalo is going to have their way.
So to correct myself, so using my app, I typed in Buffalo. I had no idea there was a Buffalo, Texas. And that was the first option over Buffalo, New York. So I did not realize I was clicking on Buffalo, Texas.
Well, if they want to do a neutral site, maybe they could start it off early and play in Buffalo, Texas.
Oh, well, speaking of which, apparently, from what I'm hearing, it's Lambeau Field, Soldier Field, and Heinz Field that are the top three choices, and we should be finding out very soon for the AFC title game if it does come to that. Anyways, I think this is going to be a game. You know, I think of this Buffalo Bills team, and I think about last year. There was one player that just blew up for over 150 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. That was Gabriel Davis.
Yes.
And the way I see it this week, I see a certain player going off for 125 to 150 rushing yards and 2 to 3 touchdowns, and that being James Cook.
So you think James Cook's going to have that bust-out game, huh?
Yeah, I think James Cook has his bust-out game this week. That weather favors a running game. I don't think Josh Allen is going to have to do much, to be honest with you. No. I think they're
200, a little over 200 in the air, and I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him about 50 on the ground.
Yeah, I think this Buffalo team will net a total yardage of around 225 to 250 on the ground in this game, with James Cook being the bell cow, Devin Singletary doing the Devin Singletary things, and Josh Allen being the multifaceted quarterback.
I think Allen might vulture a couple of goal line touchdowns, but I think
rightfully so.
I think Cook is your workhorse. Sprinkle in a little Singletary, and I'm also going to say that Dawson Knox gets in the end zone. I'm feeling Dawson Knox this week. I'm thinking about a lot. Feeling the tight ends. Think about the tight ends this week. Yeah. Buffalo, in my opinion, 31-17. What's your final here?
This one, well, I mean, Miami, it's hard for me to find them scoring more than 2 touchdowns, to be honest. You say run the ball, I say run the ball. Oh wait, Raheem Mostert's injury, his thumb injury, might is looking like it's a lot more serious than what they initially thought, where it might affect the way he's able to carry the
Yeah,
ball.
that's a big deal for running back.
So I have this one with Buffalo running away very easily. They did it last year in the wild card round
Mhm.
against New England. They're going to do it this year in the wild card round. I have them getting to 38-13.
And speaking of New England, just a quick mention: this is the second year in a row that Buffalo has eliminated them. They eliminated them last week. Um, well, Miami officially eliminated them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the previous year, the beat down in Orchard Park. And we're getting to the fun part for me. Sunday 4:30, my New York Football Giants 9-7-1 travel to Minnesota against the 13-4 NFC North champ Minnesota Vikings. Interesting stats here that are coming across your ticker. The Vikings are undefeated in one-score games. That is very impressive. Vikings are a strange one because they've actually given up more points this year than they've scored, which goes to show that some of those losses have been blowouts. Two that stand out to me: the Dallas Cowboys really put it on them, as well as the Green Bay Packers most recently. They also had to come from behind in a scary one against the Indianapolis Colts, biggest comeback in NFL history. It's been a mixed bag for the Vikings, but a lot of credit needs to be given there. Justin Jefferson having a season for the ages, but I think ultimately this game and games like this game is, in my opinion, do I trust Kirk Cousins in a big game? And quite frankly, for me, the answer is no. These two teams played on Christmas Eve, and I liked a lot of things the Giants did. And in that particular game, they did not have the services of cornerback one, Adoree Jackson, who will be back for this one. They also didn't have their best safety, Xavier McKinney. And were it not, in my opinion, for a Daniel Jones untimely INT and a Daniel Bellinger fumble, I do believe the Giants would have won the game. We'll speak on how the Giants got here. Definitely the Cinderella story of the season. There were a couple of candidates for Cinderella. I think the Giants withstood the test to be the Cinderella this year, finishing third in a ultra competitive NFC East, best division in football this year. The Giants sporting an 8-2 record in non-division games. That's impressive. That's good. What's remarkably not good is that only 1-5 within their division, yet they are here. Definitely a career renaissance for Daniel Jones. This was his season to truly latch onto a coaching staff and succeed, which he has done. He's going to earn himself a contract with the Giants because of it. Saquon Barkley, candidate, as you alluded to earlier in the show, for comeback player of the year. Offensive line still a work in progress, but improving. A lot of New York fans have been getting on Evan Neal. I think by year two, he'll look a lot more like his counterpart, his buddy, I should say, Andrew Thomas. Isaiah Hodgins, great find off the Buffalo practice squad. Brought back Landon Collins, brought back Jalen Smith, two veterans that were former Pro Bowlers that are now role players that just are great fits for this particular Wink Martindale defense. Keys to victory, simple. You got to get after Kirk Cousins, goes without saying, and you've got to put them in third and not so manageable. Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, is going to get his no matter what they deploy, but I think it's most important to time out your blitz packages and to know when to play that cover, that hard cover where you are not getting overzealous and guarding the sticks. I think the Giants had plenty of film to learn about some of their mistakes from the previous meeting, and also TJ Hawkinson really hurt them. I think they can contain Hawkinson. I do think Jefferson's going to have his kind of game. But in the end, I think the New York Giants are going to win this game for a couple of reasons. One of the main ones is I think they're going to win the turnover battle, and I think they're going to get that heat on Cousins. I like the Giants in the road upset. I'm going Giants 31, Vikings 24. For the second time in 3 weeks, the Giants will hit the 30-point plateau.
Very interesting. I would never expect 31 points, but it's a new season. What I like about this game, it's a battle of two first-time head coaches between Kevin O'Connell and Brian Dable. Something that should go without saying. This is just, it's fun. It's great for the two of them. I look at the Giants and I look at the Vikings. The Giants are playing with house money. They were not supposed to be here. No one predicted them to finish first or second in the division. A lot of people didn't even think they were going to finish third in the division. And they got off to a hot start. They did, and they couldn't keep that hot start going. However, they still finished with a winning record, still clinched the 6th seed in the playoffs, and that says a lot about the team because they did play with true grit this year. As far as the Vikings go, this Vikings team is literally a story of two teams.
Yeah.
You're either going to get a good team that's going to go out there and blow you out or get blown out. And in most cases, it's get blown out, and then they're going to win all the tight ones. Or, like I said, they're going to be the team that's going to be in a nail biter to the very end and rely on a 61-yard field goal to win the game,
Yeah, because they I think it's 11-0 in the one-score games. They have 13 wins on the year.
Yeah.
So, you factor in, they had a couple of bigger wins. And out of those 4 losses, I think 3 of them were relatively lopsided.
Yeah.
So,
Philly and Dallas.
Correct. And off the top of my brain, I don't recall who the other. It was Detroit. Was the other loss.
Yeah, it was a much closer game though.
Yeah, it was closer, but I gotta say, man, I like the Giants in this one. I really do because I think that we're getting healthy at the right time. And you tell me who's stopping Kayvon Thibodeau. And when you can come up with an answer, I'll be like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Azeez Ojulari should be back for this one as well. I got the Giants getting 5 sacks. And when I say 31-24, I mean not as close as it sounded. Like Minnesota scurries late for that touchdown to bring it to 1 score. Giants are confident right now. And I do want to make a mention that last week, playing with their C team and almost defeating the best team in the NFC, or at least record-wise, the best team in the NFC. I think that was a confidence boost that was good for this team while resting some of their guys that definitely needed it. One guy in particular that needed that rest, and he's going to be playing in pain for the remainder of the playoffs, whether this is their swan song or whether they move on. Talking about Leonard Williams. He's in a lot of pain. He's opting to rough it out. That's what leaders do. And it reminds me similarly to the pandemic season when Aaron Donald played hurt. I get it. At this juncture of the year, you got to just kind of roll with the pain, but I know he's in a lot of it. It's going to be a good game. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to, and what I really look at it is I look at it as the Giants have the better defense.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the difference in this game. And like you said, try to figure out, can this offensive line, I mean, Christian Darrisaw is a great left tackle.
Indeed.
So he could definitely slow down the likes of Kayvon Thibodeau or Ojulari, whoever's lined up against him.
You
have to remember, you can't block them both, though. Exactly. I want to know what they're going to do in regards to Dalvin Cook. Who's going to be the person that's going to run and cover him? Will it be Jalen Smith or will it be Landon Collins?
I think it's going to be a combination of both.
It could very well be.
In different scenarios, and I'm calling it now. I'm calling a lot of shit. I think Landon Collins might pick off Kirk Cousins in this game. Or he's going to get his sack. I got the Giants getting 5 sacks. I'm going Thibodeau 2, Collins 1, Dexy 1, Jalen Smith 1. Yes, sir.
I've got the team winning this game by 3.
That's it. Okay, that's cool.
I have I can easily see it being, and I'm going both ways on this. I could see it being Minnesota 23-20 or the Giants 27-24. I think it comes down to a 55-yard field goal to end the game by the one and only Graham Gano to set up a date that you do not want to see in the divisional round.
I mean, hey, maybe I do want to see it. After all, we did hang with their starters with some guys that most people would have been like, no way, you're a football player. I'm excited, man. First time in 6 years that we've even been in this situation. Win or lose, it's a win on the year for the Giants.
And there's no boat trip.
Well, give it some time. Maybe round 2, they'll find them. Oh, God. God. Okay, moving it along to the north. The Ravens, for the second consecutive week, make the trip to Cincinnati. They split the regular season matchups, but these are two teams going in two completely different directions. When you look at the Ravens schedule and you look at the blown fourth quarter leads when they were playing better ball, and then you look at the diminishing offense, the Lamar Jackson injury, he should be back for this one, but the offense has just sputtered. Now you talk about your defending AFC champion 3-seeded Bengals before the thankfully not tragic incident with Damar Hamlin. He's doing well, thank God. I must admit, the Bengals looked like the better team prior to that fateful play against the Bills that night. And they have legitimately been coasting. And I gotta say, man, read that chat. Yeah, I'm a fan of your idea. Gotta say, the Bengals are locked in. This is a 10th ranked defense that the Ravens are bringing. So I do believe that if Lamar is able to make his mark in this game, it could be close. I don't expect this game to not be close. I'll put it to you like this. I think it's going to be closer, more close for comfort than the Bengals would like. But good teams find ways to win, and so-so teams, sometimes even bad teams, find ways to lose. I wouldn't call the Ravens a bad team, but I would definitely call them an underachieving one. I got the Bengals winning this one by 6. A lot of people would be like, man, it should be a little close. It shouldn't be that close. But I think it's a combination of Baltimore playing because their season's on the line, and there is a lot of familiarity here. These are division rivals. Even the game last week, the Ravens kept them in it as long as they could because their defense is pretty good. That's part of the reason why I do believe that this could be close, and I think the Ravens could get the running game going, keep them honest. In the end, Cincinnati has too many athletes and just a better team. I said a 6-point victory, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go Bengals 26, Ravens 20. I think the Ravens get a late field goal to knock it down to 6, and then they, try to scurry, maybe do an onside kick, something of that nature. But the Bengals will win this game. 26-20, home team.
I mean, we're talking about a tale of two teams. Baltimore was 1-7-3, and they finished the year 10-7.
I know.
Cincinnati hasn't lost a game since Halloween against the Cleveland Browns. This team has been rolling. They have been rolling through everybody.
They are them and the 49ers, truly the two hottest teams in each conference.
Yeah, and I cannot find reasons to put argument forth that Baltimore has a chance to win this game with or without Lamar. If Lamar comes back in, I'm expecting a guy to be very rusty. He hasn't played football in over 2 months, and that goes a long way. Obviously, the game plan changes slightly, but you still don't have receivers to throw the ball to. One thing we got to give credit to Baltimore, though, they did extend Roquan Smith, meaning Lamar's in line for that franchise tag. But as far as this game goes, I like the Baltimore Ravens defense. I just don't think it's going to be enough to be able to stop the likes of Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd.
If you take one out of the game, somebody else is going to get you.
Yeah, and I think Joe Mixon is going to actually have himself a nice game.
That's the other thing. If Joe Mixon gets going, this game might not be close because if he's having his 100-yard game, that gives Burrow the ability to do all kinds of other stuff if you got to account for Mixon. So yes, it could get ugly. I'm going the optimistic route of saying the Ravens going to keep it close.
Yeah, I'm going Cincinnati. I think they will win this game 27-17. However, okay, Baltimore will get a late touchdown to make it a more respectable loss, but the score won't tell the true story. I think Cincinnati will win in the trenches and just take it to Baltimore early and then just rely on Joe Mixon to keep that lead.
Yeah, oddly enough, our scores aren't really that far apart. It's a 4-point difference. But yes, I get where you're going with sometimes the score looks closer than it is. I actually applied that for my Giant game. Feeling pretty good about my team. We'll see. Finally, the Monday night game. Your Dallas Cowboys, 12-5, traveling to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's their second meeting this year. Week one was very indicative of storytelling of what kind of year the Dallas Cowboys were going to go through. You know, Dak Prescott got hurt. You were in attendance. My God, this season went so fast. I remember our conversation that night. How they got here. So basically, yes, Dak went down. Dallas lost their opener. Then behind an excellent defense and steady, confident play of backup quarterback Cooper Rush, you guys ripped off a decent amount of wins. You were always kind of chasing Philly for the division title for a good chunk of the year. You distanced yourself from my team by sweeping us twice in 2 hard-fought games. You did have a couple of rough ones. The Jacksonville loss, the Green Bay loss, most recently the Washington loss. Not the kind of loss you want when you're going into the dance. But I will say this. The best version of Dallas gives you a chance to beat anybody. That's when your defense is swarming, winning their one-on-one battles, doing similar things like you did in the Monday night game way back in week 3 against us when you're kind of pushing Micah and D-Law against an unassuming, unfortunate offensive tackle. You know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do have issues on the interior. I'm talking about the guards. They have some issues there where you can potentially get pressure on Tom Brady. I will say that Tampa has gradually been gaining a little bit of confidence here and there. To be honest, I think this is the best opponent Tampa's probably played since the Bengal game. Tampa did hang around in that Bengal game. There's weird circumstances surrounding this one because Tom Brady, I should say, has never lost to the Dallas Cowboys franchise, so something's got to give. We were talking about how Aaron Rodgers never had a win against the Niners, and we were pretty confident that he was going to get in and get the win over the Niners. Perhaps this is where that streak breaks. Is Tom Brady really going to lose 10 games this year? That's another thing that it's like, wow, that could happen too. Well, unless the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl, I guess at some point they're going to lose the 10th game. My worry is I'm not quite sure if it's this week. I'm looking at a defensive struggle, and I'm looking at a lot of field goals. I got Tampa winning this one 25-23. Late Mar field goal misses. I would not be the least bit surprised if I'm wrong, and if Dallas wins this game. It's just an opinion of mine going forward that I'm like, I just don't like that Dak is leading the league in interceptions. I don't like that, I feel like Tampa's kind of sleeping, but at any moment they can emulate what they were a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's sustainable for this dance, but this could be a game where it comes out. You look at the skill positions. When right, the skill positions could almost cancel each other out. Mike Evans and CeeDee Lamb. Chris Godwin's your other guy. We've had a couple of Kyle Rudolph sightings. I would definitely give you the edge on tight end. I'd give you the edge on defense too, but I am a little concerned if I'm a Cowboy fan. This could go either way, though. It truly could. I got Tampa winning by literally 2 points. I would not be surprised if I'm wrong, though.
So I'm taking off the homer hat, obviously. I did, like I told you before, I rewatched the Cowboys Commanders game from last
Yes.
week, and after when that game was over, I was a bit upset about it, but after rewatching it, I feel a lot better. Simply because if you look at the offensive play calling, Dallas did not really game plan to win that game. There was no movement from our receivers motioning. There was no
Right.
play action plays. It was just your basic preseason football game.
Right.
And I think Dallas was content with having the 5 seed. After watching that, and because there was the argument, well, you're still fighting for the number one, but really, when you really think about it, I had a little bit of faith that maybe just maybe the Giants would win, and maybe just maybe Arizona would win. But we saw,
And you did make the point that you didn't want to play Green Bay, and you're a
yeah.
fan. I mean, they're not going to admit it flat out, but I wasn't sold that they wanted the possibility of playing Green Bay, and it could have very well happened.
Oh, I guarantee the entire NFC was rooting for Detroit to win that game.
I'd have to
Um,
say so.
but then, I look at the one thing that is different or a couple of things that are different from week one to compared to this wild card weekend is one, Dallas's receivers week one were Dennis Houston, Simi Fahoku. There was no Michael Gallup. There was no T.Y. Hilton.
Language, man.
Hey,
Can't believe
there
you said
was
that to me.
there was no Michael Gallup. There was no T.Y. Hilton. Blake Dalton Schultz was coming off of an injury, and it was shown in that game. Our
Yeah, they reached out.
defense,
Yeah, they had a lot of injuries.
where I thought that our defense kept us in the game, and that was by attacking the middle. This Tampa Bay offensive line has only gotten more hurt since that week one game, especially in the interior, where we're going to see Micah Parsons come up the middle quite often.
One of the biggest reasons I give them the slight edge is literally because of their quarterback. And not because of the kind of year he's having, just because of the kind of mystique that he has in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
That is my honest truth there. That is
no,
my
it's hard to take away from what Tom Brady has done in the playoffs. I mean, the argument still goes: is he the GOAT? Is he not? What do you base your GOAT off of? It just Super Bowls,
right.
or is it everything
There's a
else?
lot of variables that
So
give an answer for that.
I can't discredit it one bit, but what I can say about this Buccaneers team is week one they had a running game. Their running game has been non-existent this year, and really in the playoffs you have to be able to run the ball. This running defense for Tampa Bay is not good at all. And that's what Dallas needs to do in order to take control of this game. They do not need to come out and throw the ball 45 times. They need to come out and run the ball 30 to 40 times. They
Right.
need to let Pollard and Zeke do their thing, have Dak rolling out, because when Dak rolls out, he's a very dangerous quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have CeeDee Lamb in the slot.
Right.
I think that Dallas does go into Tampa Bay. The weather's very favorable, and I think Dallas will actually play a much better game. I don't. I while I trying not to sound like a homer, just looking at the tail of the two teams, the only thing that scares me in regards to Tampa Bay is our number two cornerback position. Is the fact that we're going to be rushing up the middle and Tom Brady's going to be getting rid of the ball quick. Looks like we're going to be having Xavier Rhodes on the outside this time. So a player with a lot of experience, a guy that knows this receiver somewhat. Dallas goes into Tampa Bay. They will game. It's going to be close. I have them going for 31. I think they're going to get back to their scoring offense, but I think they're going to have trouble at times stopping Tom Brady's passing, and where I think Chris Godwin's going to have a big game. 31-24 Dallas.
Oh, same score. I got the Giants beating the Vikings by. On our most recent show. Oh, by the way, before we go there and before we give our, I think our final, that way we can trace it back who we got in the Super Bowl. This is the first time, and I believe you said 23 years, that in these playoffs you have no Packers, no Patriots, and no Steelers. That is pretty wild. Three of the best franchises in not just this time, but league history. We do have a franchises show that we're going to be doing probably during Pro Bowl week, going over our rankings of, in our estimations, on a lot of grade scales of the 10 best organizations in football, ranked 1 through 10. The other day on the show, I mentioned that Cincinnati was kind of winning me over, and I got them winning the AFC for a second consecutive year and playing the Niners. I'm going to renege on that after thinking a little more into this. Should Cincinnati and Buffalo win, that's your second round matchup, but it's in Buffalo. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it. I was like, nah, dude, I'm not picking against Buffalo in that particular game. Then you have that neutral site, assuming the Chiefs make it, which I think they will. I got the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC, beating the Chiefs on a neutral field, whether it be Soldier, whether it be Lambeau, wherever it be. I got the Bills representing the AFC. In the NFC, I got my Giants winning this week. I've got the Bucks winning this week. I got the Bucks dying in Frisco, and I've got the Eagles beating the Giants in Philadelphia. 49ers going to Philadelphia. Will beat the Eagles. That's your Super Bowl. The Super Bowl that we wanted in the 90s at least once, but instead we kept getting Cowboys and Bills instead of Bills and Niners. Instead of Chiefs and Niners, could have got Montana against Young. Damn it. But no. I got the Bills and the 49ers. Similar to Brett, that is my final decision on the Super Bowl. But the difference to Brett is I've got the Bills winning their first ever Super Bowl. And DeMar Hamlin will get a ring, and I hope never plays football at this level again for his future, for his health. But yes, I got the Bills winning the Super Bowl.
So it's funny you say that because our Super Bowl predictions before the season started was you were having the Bills versus Packers, and I was having the Bills versus the Buccaneers.
And who was the team that we thought could knock out the Niners? It was the Packers.
Packers.
And what did I say on the last show? How far the Niners go is predicated off whether or not the Packers get in, because I really thought that was when they were most vulnerable. It didn't happen. They don't even play Detroit. So Niners, Bills. Bills win it.
I'm going to throw my fan hat on here, and I'm going to throw some interesting stats out there for you, okay? If there's one thing Dallas has been this year, it's been consistent. Mm-hmm. They lost one, won 4 in a row. Lost one, lost 2 in a row. Lost one, won 4 in a row. Lost one, won 2 in a row, and now they're back to the lost one. And when I say that, it means that Dallas wins 4 in a row, and we get into the Super Bowl. We win it. No, I just had to throw that out there. And plus, last time this college team won and this and that, Dallas was in the Super Bowl, and they also happened to be in Arizona. That's where the Super Bowl is this year. Yada yada yada. Dallas is not going to Super Bowl. I have almost the same situation as you. However, I am sticking with this Bengals team. I understand the emotion that this Bills team is going through right now, but I cannot take away from how good of football this Bengals team is playing. They're the most complete team in the AFC, in my opinion. The Bills have still been up and down. The Josh Allen has still been having bad games. That usually does not translate to winning in the playoffs. So I'm going with the Bengals. We already know our first round pick, second round. I think Cincinnati will go into Buffalo, win that game, and I think the Chiefs will be winning against the Jaguars. And then we will have our neutral site AFC Championship game of the Bengals and the Chiefs, with the Bengals yet again beating Patrick Mahomes. NFC side of things, I have Dallas winning. I have the Giants winning. I have Philly defeating the Giants in the second round, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Dallas playing Philly in the second round. And I actually think Dallas can defeat.
In the title game, I think is what you meant.
No. I mean, if you guys lose to Minnesota, then we go to Philly.
It's something that I haven't even processed as a possibility. I think we're going to win, but yeah, that's how that would happen.
So if we go to Philly in the divisional round, then I see Dallas going to the NFC title game. But if we go to San Francisco in the divisional round, we have the talent to stick with them, but they just have their offense is just too good, but their defense is playing phenomenally, where I could put every argument out there for Dallas and this and that, but quite frankly, it's just you can't discredit this Niners team. San Francisco defeats Dallas in the divisional, and then they will go into Philly and defeat them in a hard-fought game by both teams. And I have Cincinnati getting that Super Bowl, finally. Finally getting their first franchise Super Bowl.
Our one commonality is we both have a first-time Super Bowl winner. Brett picked the Niners to beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. Quentin picked the Chiefs to beat the Niners in the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Eagles. Yep.
And we have yet to get Idris's prediction, but I'm gonna post that or even speak on it on another video before these playoffs start, and we can all be held to how we see it. The Super Bowl I want goes without saying. Of course, I want my New York Giants in there, and I'd like to see the Giants against Buffalo again. That was my first Super Bowl as a Giants fan, and that would be kind of cool to see that again. Brian Dable's old team as well, but I don't believe this is the year for that to happen. I'm just so happy that we're in the position that we're in. But if we do somehow beat Philly in round 2, and like I said, we do have a lot of confidence after our C squad kind of hung with them, then we go to San Fran. I think we have a pretty good history on the road in San Fran, and that guy, Goat Killer himself. Yeah. But not this year. I'm so proud of my team, though, and I think this is the beginning for us, similar to how it's the beginning for Jacksonville. These are teams that have bright futures that should be proud that they're part of this, and this is only going to make them better for the long haul. But I like that we're not completely agreeing. I did kind of jump on Cincinnati after being so stubborn to accepting them as a team that wouldn't have the hangover. But then, thinking about, oh, man, round 2, Buffalo, and, we know what happened. And, yes, Cincinnati was outplaying them. But I do think that Bills Mafia, that crowd that they got in Western New York is no joke. And I do think that could be the difference sometimes when a team's a little bit better than you. And I do believe that at this moment, the Bengals are better. That doesn't mean they're going to beat them, though.
Yeah, it's a new season. We can throw every record out the door right now. Everyone is 0-0.
You got a team with a losing record hosting a playoff game, and you got a team that had a losing record most of the year that now has a winning record hosting a playoff team, and they both play here in the great state of Florida.
Well, and the difference between Tampa Bay and Jacksonville is not only, and that's another reason why I have Tampa Bay losing.
And all 3 Florida teams are in the mix this year because you also got Miami.
Oh, that's true.
It'll probably be a short stay.
But the good thing, talking about how the Jaguars were a losing team that finished with a winning record and are hosting the game, this Jaguar team has arrived. Yeah, and they're going to be better next year. And
I take pride in saying that we beat those guys on the road. And that was a hard-fought game.
Yeah, and the one thing Cowboys fans don't want to hear, and with the exception of Washington, who should have easily been the 7th seed if they would have had better coaching by Rivera and starting Taylor Heineke, Dallas's losses, with the exception of Washington, were all the playoff teams. Well, I guess not Green Bay.
If Detroit doesn't have that stinker against the Panthers doled a couple of blows to a couple of teams. It looked like them beating Seattle was going to stick Seattle. Seattle also lost to the Raiders at home. So it's hard to believe that Seattle was able to sustain and sneak in, but it took a lot of things to go their way. But, Detroit shot themselves in the foot. And these are all growing pains for teams that are on the bubble. Because I remember after the tie, a lot of people felt that that Washington had the inside track and that the Giants were going to fall out. You were proven right about the other New York team falling out. I'm thankful that you were wrong about my New York team falling out. But, my God, what a great season. And as you already stated, the second season, this is going to be a lot of fun, these playoffs. I must admit that I'm a little ornery seeing that a couple of these teams are playing a third time. I did not want to see Dolphins, Bills again. I did not want to see Seahawks, 49ers again. But you never know, man. That's why they play the games. And I am a firm believer that it is very difficult to beat a team 3 times. So should we get Philly in round 2, I'm not going to say, oh, this is a cakewalk for the Eagles. Just as I'm not going to say it's a cakewalk for the Bills, even though I kind of did.
And that's what's crazy is with Seattle playing San Francisco for now the 3rd time. You
never know, man.
Buffalo and Miami, this will be the 3rd time playing, but they split. That's the difference. San Francisco won both times.
Right.
So I'm not going to, it's hard to put an argument that Seattle can win this game, but if they came out of their,
I'll reserve it's hard to beat a team a 3rd time for round 2 when we when we face our Turnpike rivals. I will reserve that for round 2.
So what would it be for the Chiefs and Bengals if they face each other for the 4th time
Yeah, but
in
that's
a
over a
calendar
course of
year?
different seasons, and I still think that they're overemphasizing that too much. I don't think it's going to happen anyway. I think the Bills are going to get them, but I think we've more than covered round 1. Very much looking forward to this, and thank you for watching, guys. Until next time, for my co-host Mike Zappy, I am Richie. Enjoy the playoffs.
Let's
Enjoy
go, baby.
Super Wild Card Weekend. Go Giants.
Go Cowboys. Let's go.